In the mid-90s, if you were alive, you got to see two things happen at the same time. The first thing you saw were elements of the Old South, especially in the black community. You saw men that were speaking to each other, people who had respect for each other. Local churches were still intact. Families were still largely intact, and you got to see how things used to be. But at the same time, things were changing in black America. Hip hop and its generation, and obviously the evolution in the West Coast of the Bloods and Crips, were bringing yet another archetype into the black American society, that which was spawned by disintegrated homes and black American families. And we now see it as single parent-led homes, most notably children of single mothers. Now let me just go back to the old guard. Rewind, Nemo. Those who grew up in the 1950s and 60s and 70s, those people who had kids that time, if you got pregnant, you were a shame to the family, okay? This is real stuff. Those of you who can remember those stories, anybody who got pregnant that wasn't married, a lot of times they went back to the country to have a child, and they came back with the kid, and the kid was raised by the family. But by the time 1995 came, and years subsequently thereafter, it was really appreciated in black America. In fact, you go on social media and you were hearing people congratulating you for having a child or getting pregnant. And then we started to see something else occurring at the same time. We saw something happening at the same time, and that was the over-appreciation of the single mom situation. A lot of black single moms were getting a lot of credit for being there for the kids and being there for the community, because the black men had left the community, and it got to a point where they could do no wrong. And it was celebrated. Strong black mothers, strong black women, despite the fact that, the situation wasn't looking good for the community as a whole, but we never talked about that. We only talked about the fact that the black man wasn't there, and he's the reason why it's going down. But let me talk about this, because in this situation that I'm talking about in this video today, a white psychologist or psychotherapist has brought out some information that we all know too well, and it has some people in the bunch. I'll play this clip and then I'm gonna come back.
77% of white kids in the US grow up with married parents. 88% of Asian kids, 62% of Hispanic kids, 38% of black kids. That's not blaming black moms. That is acknowledging that, only 38% of black kids in this country have the benefit of married parents in their home. That gap in family structure will continue to perpetuate advantage and disadvantage across the generations. Many people don't want to touch this topic, or they're writing me off as a scold because they don't want to go back to stigmatizing single moms. And hopefully you would agree with your assessment of my book. I am not stigmatizing single moms in any way. But do people want to promote a social convention of dads if you have a child? Don't disappear, right? That seems like a behavior we might be okay stigmatizing, right? Like not being committed to helping the mom or the child.
Now, these are the facts. These are just the kids that come out of these communities. But I want to deal with something else. Remember I told you that the women from the black community that were single moms were often praised? Yeah, because this situation for me was also the same. When I was coming up as a young man, I thought it was an honor to meet a woman's child. I thought it was an honor to be a stepdad. I thought that was something that was really prideful. Woman as a kid, wow, that must mean that she could be a good wife because she has a child. And I used to hear things similar to what you're gonna hear in this next clip.
What's good, Snap? Derek Jackson here again. So I just saw a comment on one of my YouTube videos, the one about why it takes a grown-ass man in order to date a single mom. In fact, the comment was a challenge. This brother challenged me to name one benefit to dating a woman with children. And while I do love challenges, this isn't one at all, but I shall oblige. Before I get started, let me say this. The benefit or the benefits to dating a woman with children do not equate to disadvantages or a knock against a woman without children, so no shade intended with any of this. So the first of several benefits to dating a woman with children is that she likely already is used to cooking without anybody having to beg her because she has a child that needs to eat, right? So one, she's no stranger to a kitchen, but two, she's no stranger to spending within the budget instead of being financially irresponsible, because most women with children, they've had to make a dollar stretch at some point. So that means when times get tight, you're not going to have to lecture her about not spending money on BS. She already has first things first, which is survival, so she's already developed financial discipline. The third benefit to dating a woman with a child is, she's the least likely to be running in and out these clubs every day of the week, because most guys there just want to come home and smash, and she can't have random dudes coming in and out her house. The fourth benefit is she's not going to be judgmental like a lot of men and women are, or automatically turned off because you have a child, unless, of course, you don't claim or do right by that child. Number 5, you get an upfront preview of what kind of mother she would make to y'all kids. So, her child is a reflection of her. That child is well-mannered, well-fed, well taken care of, then that's what she'll give to yours.
But here's the real reality. We all know the reality on the ground for kids coming out of single-parent homes. And we've heard what happened with the blacks in comparison to the Hispanics and to the whites. But let's talk about the realities for these women that have these children, and how do the men feel about dating those ladies? I'll tell you what a lot of guys talk about in private. When a lot of brothers deal with ladies that are either single moms or come from single parent homes themselves, what do we believe? I'll tell you what a lot of brothers believe. A lot of brothers believe that just like these kids, it's kind of difficult getting into relationships with them because, number one, they've never seen a man. And a lot of times in these relationships, there's a lack of respect in these relationships towards men. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yes, towards men. I know she's talking about kids, but I want to talk about why those kids don't have a father or a stepfather. And that could be because in the pairing of the relationships, a lot of men feel like these women don't want to listen. A lot of women in these relationships lack discipline. They do whatever they want when they feel like it. There's no accountability in these relationships. So this is why you see a lot of the things happening over and over again. And of course, that lack of accountability gets passed on to the children. But yet in Black America, we egg this on. We believe that this is quite okay. And this is not to take shots at single parents or single fathers or single moms. But the reality is this: Black people are not winning like we think we are. With these numbers, we are losing and losing bad. And then what is the incentive for Black men to say, I want to get in the game and jump myself into what's happening here? It would be nice for those people who want to do it. And some people can do it. Some brothers can get in the game, and some brothers can have an effect on somebody's child's life or be a stepdad or something like that. But the reality is that a lot of guys don't see any real reason why they should, especially when a lot of the single moms out there feel like nothing is their fault. I've been on so many dates with single mothers in the Black community, or just talk to them. And when you talk to them and have these discussions, nothing is their fault. Just go to that particular clip on It's On Site. You will literally see for yourself all of the people who are talking down on that particular lady, making excuses for everything. And that's what happens in Black America whenever you want to bring some level of facts. And I know we could talk about the racism happened and all of that, and I'm not disagreeing, because we know that racism does affect Black America, and it always has. But we don't want to talk about our bad decisions, which infects Black America. That's something that we never want to talk about, because talking about that would mean that you would need to take some accountability. And a lot of times when you see people coming from the 2-parent homes, I will give them this much credit: there's more accountability in those children. That's why they perform better. That's why when you see Latinos and whites and even Black parents that are married, they have accountability. That's what it is. There is accountability. But a lot of times in the single parent homes and the children coming from those societies, it's blame this person, it's blaming that person. And that's what you see in Black America today. And you see it in most of the people who are in the Democratic Black parties. It's a lot of unaccountability. It's never about what you can do to change your situation. It's always blaming other people. And that is what is disheartening when you get into these relationships in Black America with such people, whether it's mentoring, whether it's really serious, whether it's anything like that or not. And what happens is a lot of talented Blacks, once they get to where they're going, they decide that they don't want anything to do with Black America, largely because of this thinking. And I know I'm not the only person to believe this, because many of you guys have said the same goddamn thing. But of course, Black America will continue to go in the way it is, the way it has been, down the drain with that thinking. But guys, what do you think? It's your boy O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode of The Celebrity Junk. I really appreciate you for all that you do. Subscribe to the bell. We're out.